Hello again, Clay County, and welcome to another in our Commissioner's Corner web series. I'm Mike Sello. In this episode, we'll be discussing the Capital Improvement Program, or CIP for short. The timing is appropriate because the county is currently formulating our budget for the next fiscal year beginning in October. Simply put, the CIP is a 5-year plan that identifies county projects and equipment purchases, plans for scheduling those expenditures, and identifies financing options in the plan. Funding for the CIP comes from various sources, including the 1% infrastructure sales tax, the second local option gas tax, grants, and other state and federal sources. Those funds can be spent on projects that enhance value, extend useful life, or increase capacity, such as roads, buildings, and facilities, as well as vehicle and equipment purchases identified in the CIP. As we take a more detailed look at the Capital Improvement Program for Clay County, keep in mind that it's not an unlimited pot of money that the county has to spend, so projects must be carefully chosen to best meet the needs of our growing county.
As the OMB director, I oversee, maintain, and plan the capital improvement plan and analyze all the expenditures and revenue. The county receives their revenue projections in the summer, and that is released by the state through the Office of Economic and Demographic Research. And we look at those and we use those in our budget planning for the next fiscal year. We analyze all the revenues and expenditures to make sure that they're in balance at all times. We monitor all expenditures related to contracts for those projects, including design and construction, and we frequently review them to make sure that things are still in balance. CIP projects include major fixed assets, infrastructure, with long-term value, such as land, buildings, bridges, roads, and parks. When we describe projects, we refer to either above-the-line or below-the-line projects. The difference between the two would be the above-the-line projects are those projects that have been included in the blueprint, which we call our comprehensive plan. Those projects are identified to keep up with levels of service as well as future growth. It's very important in the county to have a blueprint to follow. Therefore, we make that determination as far as what those projects are. Some of our current above-the-line projects would include County Road 220, also the 218 extension, and Atlantis Drive, which are very big projects going on right now. The below-the-line projects are other CIP-related projects that we use sales tax money for, grants, developer agreements, those types of funding streams. And those projects would include the building of fire stations, bridges, libraries, parks and rec, drainage, other road projects, and equipment purchases, also public safety facilities.
Although the CIP budget is spent on projects and equipment throughout the entire county, the 5 commissioner districts must share the CIP dollars. When it comes to selecting exactly where in the county to spend the funds, the process can get a little complicated and involves negotiation by the 5 commissioners. My fellow commissioner and Vice Chair Wayne Bola talk about how the board selects the projects that receive CIP funding.
This really comes down to what politics is about. And to me, we're trying to allocate a limited amount of resource to do the most good in the community. The real trick here is how do you balance this against all the other districts? Because the people in my community maybe have a few potholes on a road. Doesn't mean that road is a lot worse or better than somebody else's district's road. So balancing that is the real trick to this operation here. We normally start by looking at what we have available to spend, and you do that by looking at all the income streams you get for capital projects. What people don't realize is that a lot of the funding we use is categorical in nature. In other words, it's in an envelope that says you can only use this to build a road with it. Or it's in another envelope that says this money is earmarked for salaries. So you can't spend the salary money to build a road and vice versa. We then have our list. Each commissioner has a pretty good idea what his constituents are asking for. I usually communicate those to the county manager. And at some point, we get everything on a list. Then the staff looks at that stuff, and we try and reconcile it with the plans. Then we get the final cut, or we get a cut from staff of the projects that that are fundable now and then the next couple of years. Normally, the way that works is if I've got a pet project and I want to get it done, well, for instance, the animal center has been on the list now for several years, and it just keeps getting moved until we get enough funding to get it actually done. And normally that stuff will get spread over several years. But the important thing is to get it on the list so everybody sees it and we can continue to work toward getting it finished. Anybody in politics knows, at least at the county level here, that the magic number is 3. You've got to get 3 commissioners to agree on the plan or the vote or the project. You give and take, and the interesting part of this is because of sunshine, I can't call the other commissioner up and say, hey, I'll vote for this if you vote for that. It doesn't work that way. The only way we can make those kinds of comments is in a public meeting in front of the camera, so everybody sees what's going on. So there's some give and take to this. I mean, pretty much what your other commissioners are interested in getting done in their districts, and we kind of work together collaboratively to try and make as much happen as we can. In the political world here, it's you've got so much money and you're trying to do the most good with it. So.
The Capital Improvement Program funds some of the most expensive projects needed to keep up with growth and development in the county. The CIP is the account from which monies are used to pay for the construction of new buildings, like the new Public Works Masters Maintenance Facility in Middleburg, which opened this year. CIP funds this year are also scheduled to build a public safety gun range, start a new animal services shelter, repave and re-engineering roads like County Road 220 and College Drive, a number of drainage projects around the county, and numerous vehicles for public works, fire and rescue, and of course the sheriff's office. CIP funds have also paid for public facilities like new fire stations and libraries. Acting Fire Chief David Moats explains the importance of the CIP as it relates to public safety.
So the role the Capital Improvement Program plays for public safety is it funds many of the larger dollar items that we have that the first responders use on a daily basis as they respond to calls around Clay County. Everything from fire trucks to the radio system to cardiac monitors are all funded by CIP. CCFR purchases all of our department vehicles through CIP. It funds all of our buildings. It funds any of our larger infrastructure projects, everything from the radio systems and the parts of the radio systems for all the first responders in the county. So the radio system is actually one of the largest CIP projects that the county has taken on specifically for the first responders in many years. Going from an older radio system to state-of-the-art, which has 100% coverage all over the county, in building and out of building for all of your first responders to have uninterrupted radio system coverage for the 640 square miles of Clay County. But just the radio system is only one part of that. Other parts of that system that are purchased through CIP funds or continuously purchased would be the shelters that hold all of the radio software equipment at the tower sites and the towers themselves, which have to be replaced from time to time. All this goes into a very resilient system that the responders, both police and fire, can rely upon 24/7.
In addition to facilities, roadway projects take up a huge chunk of CIP dollars. The CIP account can provide funding for new road construction, as well as the maintenance of existing roadways. Here's Engineering Director Richard Smith explaining how road projects are selected for the CIP.
Well, all road projects that are funded through the Capital Improvement Program must be for infrastructure, for long-term value, and they must extend the useful life of the roadway. CIP funding can be used for road design, new road construction, road resurfacing, intersection improvements, sidewalk improvements, and dirt road paving. When we have funding identified for road surface projects, they're evaluated, and it's on a 0 to 100 scale, with 0 being the best. The higher your scores, the worse you are. So the higher the scores, the more urgent the need is to get them resurfaced. And those are based on raveling of the pavement, cracking of the asphalt, cuts, patches, potholes, depression or rutting of the asphalt, and the rideability, just getting out there and riding on the road and seeing how comfortable or uncomfortable it is. Another important part is the traffic volume. We're going to pay a lot more attention to a road that has a lot of traffic volume on it now, than we will with, unfortunately, one that may only have 4 or 5 businesses or homes on it.
Anyone who has driven through Clay County recently can tell you that we currently have a lot of different road projects underway all over the county. In fact, some of those larger road projects are part of the county's $129 million bonded transportation program, which will be the topic of our next video. It's always a good day here in Clay County. See you next time.